אוקיי. פרק ז' משנה ח'. נטמע שלם. עם קורבן הפסח נטמע קולו. You took the Pesach out of the temple or even in the temple. But let's say you took it home and then somebody touched it. And said, why are you touching it? You become tameh. You were tameh. The whole Pesach now, nobody can eat it. What happens? Or rubo. Or the majority. והרהו טעין שריפה כדין נותר. Then you need to burn it. Just like the laws of notar. Notar is when it's every sacrifice has an allotted time. And if you pass the time, it needs to be burnt. So it says, what do you do with it? שורפים אותו לפני הבירה. We burn it in front of the bira. You remember we had this bira before. Bira, we're going to, I think there's two opinions of what bira is. One is like a specific place in the temple, and one means the temple itself, but it's the same idea. You burn it in the temple. In other words, you're not going to burn it at home.
You have to bring it to the temple.
I'm not even sure if you have to, but you can burn it in the temple. Let's see. כבר הזכרנו שבעניין הבירה נחלקו רבי יוחנן וריש לקיש. When it comes to the bira, there's a difference of opinion between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. שלדעת רבי יוחנן מקום היה בהר הבית. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it was a place on the Temple Mount, ובירה שמו. That was the name. יש סוברים שהכוונה למגדל שהיה בהר הבית. There was a tower over there, and Rabbi Yochanan says, this is called בירה. ולדעת ריש לקיש, כל המקדש כולו קרוי בירה. And according to Rish Lakish, it's the entire Temple Mount. כמו שכתוב, ולשלמה בני תן לבב שלם לשמור מצוותיך, just like it says in דברי הימים, and to Solomon my son give a full heart to keep your commandments, ולבנות הבירה אשר הכינותי, and to build the temple, the בירה, the temple mount that I prepared. ואומנם הדין הוא, so the rule is, שכל הקודשים הטעונים שריפה נשרפים במקום אכילותם. Here comes the thing. Every sacrifice, once you take it home and that sacrifice becomes impure, you don't have to go to the temple to burn it. Burn it. Burn it in your oven. Just make sure not to eat it. That's the idea. So over here, they tell you, go to ירושלים. ומכאן שמותר לשרוף את הפסח בכל ירושלים. We're going to see that it is permitted to actually burn it in the entire city of Yerushalayim. You don't have to burn it in the temple. Why? שהרי הפסח נאכל בכל העיר, because the Pesach is allowed to be eaten, the entire city limit, אלא שאם נטמע כל הקורבן או רובו, but if the entire sacrifice or the majority of the sacrifice was become impure, הואיל ויש מזה משום פשיעת הבעלים, it means that somebody was not careful enough, the owners should have been a little bit more careful not to get a sacrifice. תקנו לשרפו במקדש בפני הכל. This says, you messed up. We want you to be ashamed that you messed up. Go into the temple and bring it there. כדי לבייש את בעליו שיזהרו לעבר בפסח שלא יטמא. So that the people are going to be embarrassed. Next time we're going to be more careful when it comes to Pesach sacrifice.
That's very odd.
Yeah.
No?
Uh-huh.
You know, because the Torah usually doesn't מבייש אנשים.
ושורפים אותו, and how would you burn it? Now, what's the question? So here comes actually a complicated question. And we have to go into that time. See, when I tell you burn it, you say, what's the difference? Burn it here, burn it there. Or burn it with this wood, burn it with that wood. It doesn't make, for you, it doesn't even make sense. But you have to remember, Yerushalayim in the old time, it wasn't like Israel today. There's no forests. Wood is expensive. Wood is very expensive. People used to use it as fuel. It's like gasoline. It was expensive. Somebody had to go every day to collect wood from somewhere far away and to transport it into Yerushalayim, and to make it. If you see pictures of old Yerushalayim from the 1900s, there's no tree, there's no shrubbery, there's no nothing, because people would go out, they would cook with wood, at that time, 1800s. How they would cook? With wood. There was no woods around Yerushalayim. Same thing at that time. Wood was an expensive thing.
Even when I was
Well, so the question is, now which wood are you going to use to burn the sacrifice with? What do I mean? Are you going to use your own money? Or there's another way, if I have to burn it in the temple, maybe I can use the temple's wood. The wood that's supposed to be on the ma'aracha, the wood that's supposed to be for the Beis HaMikdash, maybe I can use that wood for this. So that's what we're going to discuss now. Vesorfim oto, and you can burn it me'atzei ha'ma'aracha, from the wood that is prepared for the mizbeach, for the altar. Ma'atzim ha'muchanim lemizbeach, from the wood that is prepared for the altar. ונחלקו המוראים בגמרא בתם הדבר ששורפים בעצי המערכה ולא בעצים שלהם. And now the Amoraim is going to discuss why bring your own fuel. Why do you need to use the Beit HaMikdash fuel? What is that from? So Rav Yosef says, כדי שלא לבייש את מי שאין לו. It says because some people are poor, especially.
On one hand you want to bayesh.
Yeah. So it says, but over here, there's two kinds of biyush. There's biyush that you didn't do the commandment correctly, that's allowed. Right. Biyush that you don't have money is a different biyush, is a different embarrassment. That you're not supposed to. So we learn rules about when you're allowed to embarrass. Yeah. You're allowed to embarrass somebody when you say, you didn't do a commandment correctly. But you're not allowed to embarrass a person by saying, hey, you don't have money. One of those things. כדי שלא לבייש את מי שאין לו, not to embarrass somebody that doesn't have. ורבא אמר, מפני החשד שלאחר שריפתם יחזירו מותר העצים לביתם. And Rabba says, because we're going to suspect that after you burn it, a person is going to return the wood to their house, ויחשדו בהם שגנבו מעצי המערכה, and so, since you need to build it in a temple, you're going to bring wood home, right? And you only used half the pile, and then you're going to come and take this wood, and you're going to walk back home. People are going to say, hey, you're taking wood from the temple. What are you doing? Yeah, people are not going to know that you brought the wood to burn your own stuff. So say, no, don't come to the temple with your own wood. We let you use ours, because otherwise people are going to be, and people don't have enough wood, especially those times, people were poor, and wood was expensive, and now you're going to embarrass somebody with carrying wood to the table. He's not going to carry it now, he doesn't have enough food, so on and so forth.
And it had to be special wood, not tolaim, no? Or that could be a regular.
I think the lot tolaim you don't have to do yet. I think it's before that process. In other words, every wood that is going to be taken to the temple will need to be checked. Wow. But they checked from that pile. This is the pile that is...
Oh, you take from the pile that they checked.
That before they checked. That's right. I think that's what it is. From before it was checked. I think, ונהנים מן המקדש, נמצא לדעת רבא, or maybe after. It's also possible that it's after. נמצא לדעת רבא, שאם רוצים לשרפו בקש ובקנים הפסולים למערכה, so what's the conclusion? So it says that you don't have to actually burn it with wood. You can burn it with hay or with small branches. מותר להם לשרוף בשלהם. According to Rava, he's allowed to bring now the thing home because everybody knows this is not using the mizbeach. Nobody is going to suspect him that he's taking the altar's wood back home, and this way he's not going to be embarrassed. That's the difference of opinion. Okay. Nitma miuto. So let's say you cut a couple of steaks off the Pesach sacrifice you're giving to the people, and then two of them touch their steaks, but the rest is still kosher. Nitma miuto shel Pesach. A minority of the Pesach sacrifice became impure. Vehanotar. וכן הנותר מפסח טהור, and also whatever is left from a pure Pesach, which means you couldn't finish it. It was too much. Whatever. שהוא טעון שריפה, that it needs to be burnt, then שורפים אותו בחצרותיהם. Even that's also a sin. It says you shouldn't live over. Yes, maybe you should embarrass you again. He says, no, for that we don't embarrass you. That's embarrassment is when you make it the whole thing pure. Just a little bit of pure, impure, we're not going to embarrass you. שורפים אותו בחצרותיהם, you're allowed to burn it in your courtyard, או על גגותיהם, or on their roofs, מעצי עצמם. You can use your own wood. מהטעם שבאנו לעיל, from the reason that we already mentioned before, ששריפת הקודשים במקום אכילתם היא. Because usually you burn the sacrifices at the place that you eat them, and that's where you eat them, that's where you burn them. והרי הפסח נאכול בכל העיר, and we have established that within the city limits, you can eat the Pesach sacrifice within the city walls.
So Rabbi, what's the difference between the first one that we learned, which is burn it in the Mikdash, and you use the wood of the Mikdash?
It was the whole Pesach. Over here it's the minority. Minority.
Okay.
It's less than 50%.
Exactly.
Less than 50%. If it's more than 50%, take it to the temple. ודווקא מעצי עצמם, and that is only from the wood of themselves. אבל לא מעצי המערכה, but not from the wood of the temple. שמא יישארו מהם אצלם ויבוא לידי מילה בהקדש. Even though they're allowed to go and use the temple's wood for that, but you're afraid, hey, maybe there's a little bit to remain and then you're going to use it, and that's taking the property of the temple, you're not allowed to do that. Oh, even then there were those people, הצייכנין. What's צייכנין? קמצנים. Yeah, הצייכנים. How do you say it in English? Misers. The misers. הקמצנים. Stingy people. שאינם צרה בעציהם. That they want to save money. Those people, you know, that every penny is important to them. שורפים אותו לפני הבירה. They will go and burn it in the temple. Because it says, I'm going to save. Why am I going to use my wood? My wood is expensive. I'm going to save it. I'm going to use the temple's wood. אף מיעוטו שנטמע או הנותר פסוך תואר. Even if it was the minority, not the majority, or if it remained for the next day, there was too much, and he couldn't eat at night, he would go and take it. Why? בשביל ליהנות מעצי המערכה. He says, if I'm going to waste money, I'm going to waste the money of the congregation. Why should not the congregation of you, the temple? I'm going to waste the temple's money, not my money.
You see, גם אז givers and takers. Takers and givers.
But Tosfot מבואר, in the Tosfot it explains, שלב בית דין מתנה על עצי המערכה. It says that just like in every organization today, even in the government, there's a person who's his responsibility to make sure that the money goes to the right place. When you deal with congregational funds, you need to make sure that the money is not wasted. The money should only be used for correct things. So there used to be an accountant for the temple. There was an accountant for the temple. That was his job, to make sure that all the things in the temple are going to go for the right use. You know, so it says those people that were accountants on the materials of the temple, it says they had it in their mind. What did they have in their mind? שיהיה מותר לצייקנים לשרוף בהם. They says, you know what? Even though they're not supposed to use it, we're going to let them use it. Yeah, okay, we will let them, even though we're not supposed. They're actually not supposed to use it. We're supposed to stop them because because it's partial. It's they're supposed to burn it with their wood, but we're going to let them. Why? הואילו מתוך קמצנותם. It says because we're afraid about these people. They're so stingy. We're afraid. You know what's going to happen? They're not going to burn it. They're not going to burn it. So we'll rather them not use these ones so that they're not going to sin. הואילו מתוך קמצנותם, because they're such misers. היו נמנעים מלשרפו ובאים לידי עבירה. They're not going to burn it, and they're going to come to a great sin. ואף אכסנאי. It says the same thing, not just this. Somebody who lives in most of the people who were in Yerushalayim at the time were out-of-towners. You know, so where is he going to get wood? Yeah, he's in a hotel. Yeah. ואף אכסנאי אורח. Yeah.
obvious.
But there was no, if you live in somebody's house or you live in a hotel, you eat the hotel's food. You don't need to buy wood. The hotel buys the wood. So you understand? You don't.
That you don't.
Yeah.
Like, yes, you go
Exactly.
to the gas station.
Exactly. You don't have access to it. ואף אכסני אורח שאינו דר בירושלים ואינו עצים, עשו חכמים כצייקנים. They said, you know what, guys, you don't live in Yerushalayim. It's okay, don't burn it at home. You can come burn it over here. Why? Because we're afraid that you're going to say, I don't have the patience right now to burn it. When I'm going to get wood now, I'm going to go deal with wood. I'm not going to burn it. So he says, no. If you're a guest over here in Yerushalayim, come and burn it. Come burn it over here. And this is on that Beit Din. This is on the accountant. They said it will rather them use the wood of the mizbeach, of the altar, than not burn it at all.
And who would, I know that the sheep for the temple, for Korban HaTamid, you take the machatzit shekel and it comes from all. Who buy the wood in Beit HaMikdash?
So we're going to learn, by the way, there's specific sacrifices that was wood. Wood was actually donated. But
Donated for
yeah.
the people.
But
They
there's,
didn't buy it with the money.
I don't think so. I think wood was specifically donated, but there's many things in the temple that people just gave money.
Yeah, cash.
Yeah, cash, gold, silver, and some people just gave sheep also, animals to the temple. And what they will do is they would sell and use the money, and use the money for that. Okay.